My first accountant, who passed away now, a few years ago, and he was my accountant for 25 years. And he was very much of the same mould of my parents were, is that, you've got to, put a certain amount of money away each month, and the fact that when I bought a house and had a mortgage, he was, constantly on my back about, how much you paid off your mortgage, etc. And so I put a lot of my, the spare cash that I had into paying down my mortgage as quickly as possible. Although I probably did that partly naturally, he was the one there that was pushing you and making sure you did those things. Because my parents were still in Hobart, and I was on the mainland, and so he was a massive influence. So
I think probably one of the first greatest pieces of advice I got was from my boss in my very first job. And he sat me down and took me under his wing, and he suggested to me that I should try to put a little bit of extra money into super if I could. And he explained to me the benefit of compound interest, which is effectively earning interest on your interest. And I sort of took that on board, and what I decided to do was every time I got a pay rise, I'd put a little bit of that extra money aside and put that money into super.
I'm impressed with the engagement that you get from Gen Y people in terms of planning for their retirement, even though they can't touch the money for 35, 40 years. They seem to be understanding the reasons for doing it, and whether that's coming through lessons they learn from their parents or education itself, financial planners hopefully take some credit for that as well.
Well, for me, I think it was when I got my first job in the city. My pay went up a little bit, and I had more income than I really needed. And I thought, well, I've got a couple of choices. I could spend it, or I could maybe try and do something with it. And so that's when I went and first got advice. And that's what really got me into the advice industry, and in the long term. But in the short term, what it meant was that I started saving, and I started putting aside some of my income earlier, which allowed me to just get organised and get into my first house quicker than I perhaps otherwise would have.
I remember they encouraged me from a young age to buy some shares, and that was something that when you're that age you don't really think much about. But in doing that and getting the dividend reinvestment statements and seeing those shares accumulate over the long term, we did see that was a really good investment, and without my parents' encouragement towards getting that head start in life, that's been really invaluable for me.
Both our children come and seek advice from us, particularly in any major purchase that they might want to buy a house or a car or something like that, or invest in something. And where we can, we provide advice, and they seem to be doing all right so far.
We hope they listen.
Yeah, I think they listen.
At the end of my high school years, got drafted to come and play AFL football here in Melbourne. Was fortunate enough to be able to buy a house while I was going to college. All my school mates at college, were, saving to get a beer down the pub or one of those sorts of things. And I was conscious that I wanted to buy a house when I was young. And so I managed to buy a house when I was about 20.
We're not really interested in money. We have to have a proper.
We like it.
We like it, but
yes,
we've got to have a decent lifestyle, and that was our aim. So making money was really was good, but it bought us things instead of just for the sake of making it. So what makes us happy is having enough money to live a reasonable life, go on holidays when we want to, often help out the kids where we can, and just not have to worry about money in general. And that's what the good financial advice has given us, that opportunity. So now we know that we can live, we're good at saving, we've done that, no good at investing, but we've sought out others who know a lot more than us, and we're very happy with the way things have gone there. And that's enabled us to have a healthy, happy.
Yes, and we're going to be around till we're in our mid-80s or early 90s, so we want to have enough money so that we're healthy and happy and can have a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
I had a teacher at school that said, money won't make you happier necessarily, but it'll make things a damn sight easier. And so I sort of look back on what my teacher said at school and say, look, if you want to have some independence in your life, the reality is you do need to have some sort of financial security behind you. It's really important.
I think we're both very good at budgeting and saving. Mary's much better at investing than I am, but I think we just had to get someone who knew a lot more than us.
I kind of look back now, sort of 20, 25 years later, and every time I look at my super balance, I think, wow, how did I actually save that much money? But I realise it's not so much what I've actually saved, it's that advice that I got so many years ago, which was, start early and use that power of compound interest. It really got me to the point where I am now.
Really grateful for a really good advisor. I think of our financial advisor like my doctor and my dentist. They're very important in my life.